This is the Art Beauty Podcast where we tell the real truth about the fake shit. I'm Amber, and today my gorgeous and fabulous co-host is Miss Rachel McClusky. She is a fitness and wellness expert, founder of the Recharge Method and Recharge Wellness, and just one of the coolest women that I have gotten to stalk on Instagram. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. What a kind compliment.
Well, I have to say, it's so lovely to go on your Instagram page. I really feel like it is a celebration of all things fitness, wellness, body positivity, and for those of us who are like not a size zero, it's really nice to see that. And I think that for me, what really attracted me to you is that like your workouts are really fun. You've brought fun back into fitness. And I know we're going to talk all about that, but where are you right now?
So I live in LA. Well, one, thank you for having me. And thank you for saying that. I feel like all fitness should be fun. And I appreciate that. So I'm in my little home studio in LA, and yeah, this is where the magic happens here.
That makes so much sense now. So I feel like the LA gals are always like a ray of sunshine. You really are.
I appreciate that. I'm originally from Chicago, but I've been here for 10 years. So I feel like at this point, I think this is home.
I was going to say, what do they call it? You're an Angelino. I was going to say an LAian. No, but you're like a Angelino.
You know what? Maybe it's not home because I don't even know the answer to that, but I think it's Angelino. That sounds correct. Yeah.
We're going to go with that.
Yes.
I'm on the other coast, New York. I got to tell you, today in New York, it is going to be 70 degrees. And I think that I did a podcast prior to this and they were like, wow, you have a lot of energy. And I think that it is the weather change because it has been so cold. And just knowing that outside it is like lovely and warm is just giving me all the feels.
We had a class last night and I have a few girls on the East Coast and they were all talking about how warm it's going to be today. And it's just nice weather is the ultimate mood booster. And that's coming from someone who was born and raised in Chicago, that like, I could not wait to have good weather most of the year. And it's just, it changes your mood. You can go outside, you can go for walks without putting 4 coats on. And I just think, who doesn't love a little sunshine,
It's also like, I find when it's cold, your body hunches over, like you're literally carrying, my puffer coat is heavy, right? And then you get the gloves and the scarves and the sweaters, and it adds like probably like another 10 pounds. And in New York, you got to walk everywhere.
Yes.
So yes, I got excited today too, because I live in spandex. I do. When I have to put on, makeup and clothes, happy to do so. But like, I would say 6 out of 7 days, like this is my outfit.
I am the same. I tried to wear jeans the other day and I was like, how do I style jeans? Like, I don't even know. I forgot how to wear real clothes. So I feel like I'm teaching myself again what it's like to wear anything other than leggings or sweatpants. It's like, I love sweatpants too.
Oh, when they came out with the term athleisure, I almost like legit cried because I was so happy. At the time I was working more in the fashion sort of arena. And it was like, it's a lot of work. All my fashionistas out there, God bless you. And like all my moms out there who get dressed, put on makeup every day, and then go about their day. God bless you. There's like a little thing to you because I only have to take care of myself and this like little shoebox I live in. And Mama likes to do it in sweatpants.
Anything. Same.
So for people out there who might not be familiar with you, can you give us like a little bit about your background before we then talk about the Recharge Method and Recharge Wellness?
Yeah. So like I said, I'm from Chicago. I actually have such a funny backstory because I so rarely speak about it now, but I was a singer-songwriter for about 8 years, which plays a big role into why I love music so much. And that's such a big part of my classes. So I moved out here about 10 years ago and I was like, oh, I'm majoring in music, I'm doing all these things, but I was starting to feel burnt out. I had been doing that since I was 11. And I wanted to teach Zumba at my local gym. That was what I wanted to do. And they didn't have any other type of dance fitness. So I was like, this is it for me. And I just fell in love with the connection and the release and all of these things that happen in a workout class that are just beyond the actual movements. Right. And so I started teaching every different format that you could teach and just fell in love with the whole concept of group fitness. I do personal training here and there, but I prefer it on a group level. I think it's just so much more fun, and you get to connect with other people who want to do the same thing as you. And so I started teaching, 8-9 years ago, and it's been full-time for quite a while. And then the events just kind of were a segue to the classes, and wanting to create a space where people don't have to move their bodies to connect with other women, and men are welcome. I always say, I'm like, it's not exclusive to women, but men just don't usually come.
Right.
So it's really meant, I think it's like a lady gang, and I'm here for it. And, but I always say men are welcome. They're usually not around in our classes.
Listen, to all you boys out there, if you want to join it, well, listen, that's where all the hot girls are. Let's be honest. Shaking their thing. So here's, it's interesting that you mentioned Zumba, because I was trying, this morning to kind of figure out how to describe your classes. Because to me, it's a little bit, now, mind you, I am a Gen Xer. So, but to me, it's like a little bit of like your old school aerobics meets like a Zumba, meets a jazzercise, meets a weights class.
Yeah.
And it kind of is this beautiful, but like at the very core of it, and dancercise, right? So all of those kind of mixed into one, but it just is fun.
Totally. Yeah. It's, I think that there are so many different ideas about why we work out, if it's to lose weight, to build muscle, to whatever it may be. And I just wanted to take all of that out of it, and create a really fun class. So we start with a moving meditation, which basically just shakes and moves all of the stagnant energy out of your body. And then we do dance cardio, we sculpt, and we end every single class with a freestyle dance party, which basically means I turn the music up as loud as possible and we just dance. And that is a mood booster by itself. And I actually think my heart rate goes up more in that than in any other part of class, because you are just so pumped on the song. And it's meant to be a way to celebrate your body. It's meant to like release anything that you're holding on to, and then celebrate and just move together. It's such a special way. And I don't think you can possibly be in a bad mood when you're doing dance cardio. It's just not possible.
And now for everybody listening, I don't want you to tune out immediately, because while your studios are based in LA, right? And a lot of your classes there, you do stuff virtually as well. So people can take your classes virtually.
Yeah, we have a really incredible virtual community. Women have joined all over the country, and it's really special to be able to connect with women that way and to see the same faces in live classes. And we're on Zoom, and then there's a huge on-demand library if you can't come live.
So I'm going to ask you, somebody who is not super, super coordinated. I was a cheerleader back in the day, so I'm not like totally, but I remember the first time I went to go take a hip hop class in New York, and this was like maybe early 2000s. And I was like, okay, beginner hip hop, this will be great. Meanwhile, I got into the class and it was like Britney Spears was over here, Justin Timberlake was over here. And they were like, kick left and I'm kicking right. And I was so intimidated that I just didn't stick with it. How did you get people to come in, and like, what was the reaction when people are first like, wait, you want me to do what? You want me to do like a dance? Like, what is that like?
So what I will say is that all of the combinations that we do are so beginner oriented, and they're follow along too, which is so much different than building a combination and then you're going to perform it at the end. And they're all really beginner friendly. Again, anyone can do this. Even if you're not coordinated, we're really just jumping around and kind of moving our legs and our arms in different ways. That's the best way I could describe it. And I do try as hard as I can to create a really safe space where no one feels judged. If they literally rolled around on the floor for the dance cardio part, it'd be like, you're moving, like it's something. And you can come in and just feel really supported, and nobody knows the combination before class. So everyone's starting from the same level. And I just, especially if you're doing it from home, turn your camera off if you want to, like do whatever you have to do to feel comfortable and just have fun with it, take the pressure out of having every single step look a certain way. There have been times where halfway through the combination, I completely forget what we're doing. And I'm the instructor and I'll forget, it happens all the time. So if we just take the judgment out of it and come into it, just thinking about ways that we can celebrate our bodies, then you can just do no wrong in dance cardio.
Now, and we're not going to I'm not putting on the spot for any names or anything, but do you ever have people who come in and you're like, wow, you're like the real overachiever? Like the person who's like comes in and it's like, we're going to go up here. And it's like jazz hands, fussy.
It definitely exists. And you know what? I've been that person in a class before too. Like I am ready, and I just think that's their way of expressing themselves. And I love that. I think however you show up ready for a class is impeccable.
I love that. I mean, going back again to that first hip hop class, I remember it was like, they're like, okay, and 1 and 2, 3. I was like, oh my God, I've got this. And then they were like, now we're going to do it at tempo and 1 and 2 and 3. And then I was like,
I know.
I'm lost. I'm just going to stand here in the back and watch these superstars. And, so what has it been like now, sort of growing this community?
Yeah. So it's crazy. So I'd been teaching in studios for years. And then I actually launched the Recharge Method class, which was really just a culmination of all of the formats that I loved and my dance background and having taught fitness for so long. And then the moving meditation to me was really important. And I wanted to create a class that was the epitome of everything that I believed to be the best parts of fitness for me. Right. And I launched that class in January of 2020, and I was still teaching at a bunch of other studios and just teaching all over the place. And then the pandemic hit and I was like, okay, this class is perfect, right? It's like everyone feels so stuck and so anxious and we're in our homes. So the moving meditation just felt it couldn't have been a more perfect time to utilize that.
Yeah.
And then following with just dance cardio, again, mood boosting moves. I just got onto Instagram Live and started teaching every day because that was all I knew how to do at that time, right? It was, I want to be able to help people. I can't leave the house. You can't leave the house. Let's move our bodies together. And I am so blessed that people found my class. They kept coming. It went on to Zoom and now it's strictly on Zoom. And so many people have been with me since day one of my first Instagram Live. And it's been really incredible to just give my all to this too, because I spent so much time in like the hustle of running around LA at different studios and doing all the things. So to be able to really hone in on the classes and then also events was just really something that I needed. And the slowdown that I didn't even realize was so necessary for so many people, but really for me to be able to hone in on the thing that I was really passionate about, and watching it grow and build has just been an incredible blessing that people love this class as much as I do.
I love that. Do you ever feel now like the pressure now that you're sort of really in the public eye? Are people coming up to you and they're like, I want to know more about what you eat. I want to know more about your sort of beauty routines. I want to know more. Like, do you ever feel pressure to kind of be this health and fitness sort of icon?
I so appreciate you saying that. I'm like, I don't know if anyone cares about what I'm eating.
I care about what you're eating.
I think at the end of the day, it's like, I strive for balance in all areas of my life. I try to share as much as I can. And then also finding things that are personal to me that I keep private. I think that's the wild, wild west of social media, of like, what things do you share? And, But at the end, it's like, I can share what I've eaten. I can share my skincare routine. I can share brands that I love, whatever it may be, but it's all, just because it works for me doesn't mean it's going to work for somebody else. And I believe so strongly in that. And, I love French fries and I also love green juice. I love
Right.
I love both, and I will never say differently, and
Yeah.
I just believe in that balance. And that's something I try to share as much as I can.
I think you make a really good point too. So I was a person who always struggled with my weight. I was, I won't go as far as to say like I was obese as a child, but I was fluffy. And yeah, very fluffy. And even today, it's like I will get up and I will work out. Part of the reason actually, no, I was going to say like I work out for my mood, all of that. Yes, it helps my mood, but I literally work out because I love cookies. I love, like that part of me. And I try to keep it in balance. And I think that's so important. But people be like, what are you doing? And it's like, well, I mean, last night was St. Patty's Day, and I was doing shots of Jameson. Gross.
I love it.
But then today you make healthier choices. And I do think it's like a little bit about balance. And, there are times when I'm like eating really, really clean. And then there are times where I'm like, give me a hamburger and sweet potato fries.
Totally. Yeah. I think I've gone through phases where there's no balance, and honestly, it's miserable.
Yeah.
And the biggest thing in my classes is like, I do not talk about getting abs. I do not talk about what you eat. That is completely up to you. And I'm not going to promote weight loss in my classes, but that will happen, right? Like that will happen if you are consistently moving your body. I just don't believe that focus is what's going to propel someone forward into any type of change. And I know that it sounds so cliche to say that the change comes from the inside out. But if you love the way that you're moving your body and you are enjoying yourself, physical changes will happen. But me talking about them, in my opinion, is just not the objective of my class or my philosophy. I believe in falling in love with fitness because of the way that you enjoy moving your body, rather than attaching it to results, because it's just, it's a circle, and it's just so challenging.
And listen, that I think is one of the things that really drew me to your Instagram and talking about positivity, and not to sound like cheesy, but so much, we're so bombarded. And especially as women, I'm not going to say, listen, I've got a lot of male friends out there too, especially in the gay community, who feel really, really pressured to keep a certain body type. So I want you to know, I hear you. I'm not excluding you, but speaking as a woman, there is so much pressure to, look a certain way or be a certain way. And one of the things that I found is that for me, like you said, when I am not moving, and moving could be when I'm just stuck at my desk, right? And we have to have that. And during COVID, when you couldn't go to the gym and you couldn't do this, and before all of fitness instructors like yourself started doing this online stuff, it was so important just to get outside and go for a walk. Totally. And when I started adding like things, so I love to do weightlifting. I'm actually rehabbing an injury, which has been miserable for me. I hurt my elbow, and it has been about 3 weeks where I can't do anything except I can't do anything that involves weight in or on my arms. So no yoga. It's really frustrating. I got back on my bike today, because I was like, this is a good way. And I go out for walks. And then of course, dancing is super fun to do. But long story longer, I do think that once you start any sort of a regular routine, it in 3 weeks, to me, 3 weeks has always been that magic number. I don't know if I'm just making this up, but I think at the 3-week mark is where you're like, oh, whatever difference it is, like maybe you're not getting as winded going up the stairs. Maybe your clothes do fit a little differently. Maybe they don't. But I feel like that 3-week is like when you really start to notice like, wow, there's a change.
Totally.
And it's so rewarding.
The 21 days to form a habit, I'm a big believer in that. And if you are doing something consistently and you weren't before, changes are going to be there, right? It's like, it's inevitable. And I just think the more consistent that anyone is with anything that we're doing, right, the better you're going to feel.
Here we're going into spring and it's a little different on the West Coast, especially in LA. You've got beautiful weather year round. On the East Coast and in a lot of places, the winter for us is like when we can, you know, pack on a few more pounds. And, I think the goal overall is to have that quote unquote summer body or mentality year round. But I do think now people are kind of, especially here, are like, oh my gosh, it's 70 degrees out today. Like that warm weather is around the corner. Like, what are things that I can be doing? And do you, as sort of this fitness wellness expert, do you have any advice for people that you like to share with people who might, need some encouragement or get started on their fitness journey?
Yeah, I think, gosh, the term summer body and all of that, it's just, I think it can be really detrimental, honestly, to the way that people view themselves, right? It's
Yeah.
like, okay, is my body not okay in December, right? Like, do I need to like make this huge change by the time June hits or something like that? And my advice would be just to find something that you enjoy doing. It could be
Yeah.
going for a walk. It can start so small. I could say like, oh, I want to take 5 classes a week and I want to eat this way and I want to do that. It's like going all in is a beautiful thing if you can maintain it. It just can be challenging to maintain, like I had mentioned before. Start with something that you love, do it consistently, do it a little bit more the next week, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And just find something that you enjoy because you'll do it again and you'll
That's
keep
it.
doing it.
I think so many people will try to we got a spin bike during COVID.
Mhm.
And I think when my husband was working at home, he was doing it, but I don't think he loved it.
Mm.
To be honest, I don't always love it.
Yeah.
I love that it's there, but if you're not doing something that you love, then it becomes right away, you're setting yourself up for failure, I think, right? If you're not
Yeah.
enjoying it, which is what I think is so fun about the method that you have created, because it's if you like to dance, if you like to move, you've got a little bit of the weights in there, you kind of are covering, like you said, all of your favorite parts of all of these different fitness genres.
Totally.
Um, it makes it super fun. Also, by the way, on the summer body, for me, that is such a weird term because I feel like my summer body personally is like not the best. I feel like my spring body, I'll try to kick it off, but generally it's like summer, mama wants a hamburger, you're having a couple drinks on the beach.
Totally. I think it's just finding love for your body in all seasons. It's like, or knowing that my body is, I try to look at it as like, my body moves me in a class every single day, right?
Yeah,
And it is so strong and so powerful. And it's going to look different in different months and in different phases or whatever it is. But all of the things that my body does for me, that's where I find gratitude. And that's where I'm like, okay, this is like really shifting the way that I'm viewing it. And looking at the things that it does for me can just help me find so much gratitude.
I think that's such a wonderful listen. We get frustrated with our bodies for numbers of
Mhm.
reasons.
Yeah.
Again, going to women, I tried to have a baby for years and years and years. Didn't happen. I was very frustrated with my body. I hurt my elbow, frustrated with my body. I
Yeah.
have learned, and I want to echo what you just said, more important to wake up every day and say, thank you, God, that I can, walk to the computer to go do my podcast. And if you're somebody who can't walk, like look for something that you are thankful. Thank God that I was able to wake up and maybe see the beautiful sunset. And if you're somebody who can't see that, hopefully you can feel warmth around you. I think that it is really important to try as much as we can and to be reminded to be grateful for what we do have and ground ourselves in gratitude rather than to focus on that thing that you wish you had.
Totally. Totally. Grass is always greener, and
Yeah.
there's so much comparison now, especially in social media of like, if I did this, would I look like this or something in that vein? And it's like, can we just love and accept our bodies as they are now? And like easier said than done, right? That is not me. I
Thank
don't
you.
wake up every morning and go, oh my gosh, I love myself, right? I had to start with body neutrality accepting my body as it was, and as it is every day. Some days I like my body more than others, but sometimes I think that I'm like, it doesn't really matter how I feel about my body today. Look at all the things that it's going to do for me, right? I don't have to be so consumed in that, but 100% easier said than done. I've gone through so many different cycles with my body and how I feel about my body. And, it's just, I think focusing on the things that it does for me is really such a great vessel to get to, again, body neutrality, accepting my body as it is, and just feeling kind of neutral about it. I think the body love section of Instagram is so beautiful, but it also can feel like, well, what if I don't love my body today? Or what if I haven't loved it for weeks, or if I've never really experienced that, it can feel really polarizing. And so I think that's something I strive for, is to wake up every morning and love my body. But I think, again, comparison can just be such a trap on the internet. And it's really, even with the way that people accept themselves, it can be hard.
Thank you for sharing that. I think that, again, that's why I love doing this podcast. And I hope people who are listening at home. I mean, I feel like just this week, I've had so many ups and downs, right?
Yeah.
Like what do they call it? Imposter syndrome, right?
Mm-hmm.
Are we failures? And I say that, not so that anybody feels bad out there, but more so that if you are going through that period, just to know it's normal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even for people who are experts in whatever their field is, they're going to feel times that pressure, and they're not always going to be at 100%. And so if you're in that sort of a place in your life right now, be kind to yourself, know that it's okay. And my grandma always used to say, and this too shall pass. So when you're living high and things are great, that's not going to stay forever. And when you're sort of in your lows, know that that's going to pass too.
Yeah. I love that.
So let's talk about a little bit about what Recharge Wellness is.
Yeah. So I'd been teaching for all these years, and what I kept finding, so this is funny, my first class that I was ever given was at 5:15 in the morning. Right. So I know I look back at it and I'm like, I used to be the early morning teacher for years. And so for a lot of women who wanted to take my class, it was too far. It was too early. They were too intimidated by the format,
right,
whatever it may be. And I was like, gosh, I see these people making incredible friendships at these studios. I see just the community that exists there, and they were missing it because of all these different factors. So I wanted to create a space where women could still connect in a safe space that took the fitness part out of it, right? Maybe they just weren't interested in going to a fitness class. That's okay too.
Right.
So initially, my business kind of started in a fluke, I like to say. I put it out there on Facebook, which was like the place to put things out there at the time. And I was like, does anyone want to come over? I had just gotten certified in meditation, and do a meditation and have like an elevated girls' night, and have salad instead of pizza or something like that. And I got like 35 people who responded and were like, I want to come. And I was like, oh my gosh, you are not going to fit in my apartment. So I got an event space. I got some snacks from a few brands, and then people wanted more of it. And it just really went from there. And I started hosting events every few months. Then it turned into weekend retreats. And then we do an event every single month, and weekend retreats 3 or 4 times a year. And it's just so cool to see the way that it's expanded, and to just dive into topics that are outside of fitness and really give people a chance to connect. If you're together for a weekend or even 2 hours, it just deepens the connection. I also feel like it's a great way to make friends as an adult, because that is hard.
Yes.
And everybody knows that.
So I want to know more about this. Personally, listen, I am married. I'm happily married, but I do find that sometimes, you know what, you need, and I can't even imagine what it's like to be a mother, but you need that time for yourself, right? When I go on vacation, I'm still worried about my husband. I'm still concerned. Sometimes it's nice to go to a place where you're like, I'm really just going to focus on me. And have a dedicated place. And like you said, meet new friends and like-minded people, and in a healthy way where I'm going to come back. Sometimes you go on a girls' weekend and it's like, you pay for it for like the week after.
Right.
Love those. But it's nice to go away somewhere and to come back feeling recharged and refreshed. So where, like, tell us about your upcoming events. I know you mentioned prior to us getting on this podcast that a lot of them are sold out.
Yeah, so we have basically we'll do different topics every month. So right now we're doing a dinner series, which is 3 dinners over the span of 3 months, where it's the same women and we have different topics. We have a money event next week where it's all things financial wellness for women. And then our weekend retreats, we have one in Ojai next month. We have another one in Colorado and a lot of other events coming to different cities within the year. So they just really vary on what topics we cover, but they're just a really special way to connect with other women.
That is amazing. And so is it sort of like you travel to the place and then the weekend is everything is sort of included in the weekend? Yes. You've put that all together?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh, I need to sign up immediately. Where do we go for that?
It's all on my website, rechargewellnessco.com. And yeah, the other thing I'll mention is they're affordable. And that is something that when I started was really, really important to me. I was looking at these day retreats or weekend retreats that were thousands of dollars. And if you are interested in wellness, but you're not a wellness junkie yet, you will be soon after one of these retreats, but you're not going to spend thousands of dollars on something that you're not even sold on yet. Right. So most of the retreats are under 500. If they're a little bit longer, they're under 8. So it just, I aim for someone to look at it and say, I might not be able to afford that today, but if I save for 6 months, for a year, whatever it is, then I would be able to afford it. The goal is that you look at it and you are not like, oh, never. Like I would never.
You know what? I'm so glad you brought that up. And I apologize to everybody at home because I was like, I kind of want to ask her how much they are. I should have just come out and said it.
You totally can.
because, you know, I look at a lot of these retreats and I'm like, oh, I'd love to do a yoga retreat. Oh, $3,000 for the weekend. That's a lot. Yeah. That's like my vacation fund to go away and like, you know, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
It was important. And, you know, when I first started, it was really trying to introduce people into a wellness space. And again, I just don't think those people were going to pay that much for a weekend. And I also let this be an opportunity to see that wellness can be accessible. I think there's so many things that are really expensive in the wellness space. Fitness classes are expensive and spa days or self-care can be expensive, but it can also be affordable. Like now we have virtual classes. I mean, gosh, my class is $12 to drop in. Not nothing, but like it's cheaper than 30 or 35 in New York. If you're going
New York is 35.40.
Yeah.
And my morning latte at Starbucks, which I don't get anymore, was like $9.
Totally. I know. So I think that it's really like finding ways to just be a little bit more affordable. And that's just, I think wellness should be available to everyone. My first class is free on my website. So like, regardless, you can find a class for free at some point.
I love that. And remind us again, it's rechargewellnessco.com.
Yes. Everything is on there. The fitness classes, the events, all of it.
And listen, for everybody at home, I mean, what a way to wrap up. You can't beat a free class, right? So if you are looking for something that maybe you're like, hey, I want to switch up my fitness journey. Maybe you're just starting, maybe you're coming back from an injury. Maybe you've never done fitness before. I love that you've provided a safe space for people to go and to try this out. And I'm telling you, the classes are super, super fun. So again, people, just in case everybody wasn't paying attention, it's rechargewellnessco.com.
Yes.
And they can find out about the events, the classes, they can learn about your blog. Also, your Instagram is what, Rachel Recharge?
Yes.
Okay. So at Rachel Recharge, if you're surfing the Instagram and going down that deep, dark hole that we all can, and you want just something that's like a little bit more positive, I love your Instagram feed. I feel like it's so fun, positive. You'll get to see like little clips of them in classes. It just looks like a ball. Rachel, I want to thank you so much for being on with me today.
Thank you so much for having me. This was so much fun.
It was so much fun. And listen, let this be sort of, it's springtime. It's time for renewal. Take a little positivity with you. I'm going to go out there and enjoy that 70-degree day.
Yes.
If you're listening at home and you want me to pass along any questions to Rachel, you can absolutely do that. You can write me at hello@artbeautypodcast.com. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, and right here on YouTube at Art Beauty Podcast. And as always, we will see you next Tuesday. Bye.